Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Sunday Live, where we do a 20-question mock test and your hazard perception demonstration. Apologies for the late start. I had a technical issue this morning, so I'm just still getting myself ready. So let's get this window up. So hopefully you guys have had a good weekend or a good week and the weekend so far. Can hear myself in the background. I'll just get rid of this and get my comments window up. So if you guys got any questions, do not be afraid to put it into the chat so I can see it. If you got a question, please put a Q semicolon. It makes it a lot easier for me to find. Otherwise, it looks like a comment and I may skip over it by accident. But if you put a Q, I'll definitely know it's a question, and then I can answer it. So if you guys got any questions about your theory test, driving lessons, type it into the chat, and I will help you out as best as I can. I had a technical issue this morning. For some reason, the desktop version of theory test, driving test access, it's just throwing up pure first aid questions. I don't want to go through what I went through last week. So I've had to switch to my iPad version this morning. So hopefully that doesn't throw up all first aid questions, because you guys must be sick of first aid questions based on last week. All right, so I think I'm good to get going. So hopefully you guys can see me and also hear me. So let me come out of this screen and say some good mornings to you guys. Good morning, Errol TV. How are you? Mohammedi. I've not said that right. Good morning. I've not seen your name before, so I've got to assume that you are new here. So welcome. Welcome. Good morning. Is there any changes about the theory test, please? Yes, there's changes, which was mentioned last week. The first change this year was in February, which is the ADAS questions, Advanced Driver Assistance Systems questions. And over the last couple of weeks, they've thrown in some new first aid questions in addition to the old first aid questions. So that's the changes at the moment. There are more on the way, but they will notify us as trainers first. And once I know what those changes are, you guys will know. But any changes that are made are done within the app as well, because the apps will know when those changes have been made. Same like us. Like I said, we're trainers, licensed trainers, so they let us know first. The apps are licensed if you're paying for it. So if you're using apps, don't worry about it. Any changes will be reflected in the apps, providing you've paid for the app. If it's the free version, I can't guarantee it's going to be updated. So just invest in the $4.99. And I'll recommend doing the driving test success version. I just think it's easier to use. I'm not saying it's the best one out there, but I think it's easier to use. Denise, spelled differently. Hi to you. Definitely not seen your name before. So welcome. Welcome to you. Diego, good morning to you. Judith's new, so welcome. Let us know, or let me know what part of the journey you're on. Have you just started your theory? Have you got one booked, second one before? Let us know. Fifi's new, got to be new, because I've not seen your name before. Good morning, Dora. My theory test is on the 2nd of July, which is next Wednesday. If you've got any questions, type it in, Fifi. Let me try to send you in there nice and positive. Please come back next week and let us know how you got on. Sarah, I'm struggling to pass test. I failed. I'm assuming that's got to be twice. If you're taking it twice, then you've got data, the paperwork they're giving you. I always say this to everyone, it's a general overview. When you take your test, they give you the paperwork. It tells you the categories you got the questions wrong in. If you got 40 or more, i.e. 40, 41, 42, I would go back to the categories that they said that you messed up on. If you got under 40, I would go back to square one and do the individual subjects. The reason being because if you got 39 or less, which means you got at least 11 questions wrong, which means you got at least 7 to 8 categories of questions wrong in, and that's over half. That shows your knowledge is still weak, so you need to strengthen your knowledge generally. But if you got 41, 42, you normally on average is about 5 categories, which is a third. So you just study those particular categories, but you've got data, put the paperwork side by side, look at the categories. If it's all different categories on both tests, definitely want to go back to basics. If it's the same categories, then restudy those categories. Chris, again, I've not seen your name before, so I'm assuming you got to be. Wow, I just saw your score on Hazard Perception. That's amazing. First of all, congratulations on passing the theory test. 47 out of 50, but 70 out of 75. That's massive. Well done to you. Congrats. That's almost one of the highest I've seen. I think the highest is 72 that I've seen, but 75. It's amazing. Brilliant. Congratulations to you. Let me know what you're going to do next. Book driving tests, driving lessons. Gerald, good morning to you. I haven't got earlier booking in my location. Is it possible to book my driving booking in different location? So let me just read that again. I haven't got an earlier booking in my location. Is it possible to book my driving? If you're talking about a driving test, first of all, whether it's driving test or theory test doesn't make a difference. You don't have to take it in your area. For a driving test, I would suggest you do it in your local area if it's possible. The reason being, you would have, hopefully, if you've got an instructor, you would have driven around the area so you get to know the area. Any tricky part of the routes you can obviously practice on. Driving's driving. If you're driving safe, you can drive anywhere, but you want to stack the cards in your favor because nerves does play a massive part on your driving test. I'll give an example with one of my pupils last week. We drove around the test route. We'd done a day session. He booked extra lessons. Drove around the test route. Blah blah blah. He was really nervous. We got to the test center, Tottenham Test Center. He kept going on about bus lanes. I just said to him, "You can't drive in any bus lanes around the Tottenham test route at that time of day. So do not worry about the bus lanes. Stay out of them. Got nothing to worry about." Guess what he gone and did? He drove in the bus lane and failed his driving test. Everything else was fine. I think he had 2 minors in total, but he drove in the bus lane. When we had that discussion before the test, do not drive in any bus lanes, and we drove around the area. Nerves changes things. So ideally, you want to drive in the area. With my pupil's case, even though we drove in the area, it didn't help him, but stack the cards in your favor as best you can. But yeah, theory test, driving test, you can take in any particular area. I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you. Everyone keeps calling me Mr. D. Rick Queen, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Good morning to you. For me, good morning again, Mr. D. Good morning to you. Good morning, last month I passed my theory test. Congratulations on passing. I'm not seeing your name before, definitely, because I can't pronounce that. So congratulations on passing. 46. 66 is a high score as well. Well done to you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming and let me know that you've passed the theory test. Again, let me know what your next steps are. Different location like Ashford. Or got outside like Nottingham. That's a massive difference from Ashford to Nottingham. The only problem I got with going to Nottingham, I've lived in Nottingham before. Just because you live in an area doesn't make a difference. As I said, with my pupil, we drove around Tottenham a lot, and he still just messed up by driving in a bus lane. It depends on what you're going to do. I'm not a big fan of traveling 2 to 3 hours away from your journey, because by the time you get there, you're going to be knackered if you're doing it on the day of the test and traveling. If you're going to go down the night before, that's a different story, but I'm not a big fan of traveling 2 to 3 hours away from the test, and other people, you're knackered mentally. So by the time your test comes, you're drained. So I wouldn't be doing that, like I said, unless you're going to go the night before. But then you're going to need an instructor to go with you, unless you're taking your own car with that. But you got to do you. I can't tell you what to do with that. But like I said, if my people ask me to travel 2 to 3 hours, unfortunately, I'm not doing that. Yeah, but that's just me. Like I said, you got to do you. I know the tests are hard to come by. If you get one in Nottingham and you feel like you have to take it, then you have to do what you have to do. But I can't advise you on that. Pastor Jenkins, good morning to you. Well, congratulations on passing. Thank you for coming to let me know. I appreciate that. And man, good morning to you. All right, let me just do a quick overview. As I normally do, I have come here to say thank you, Pastor Masterclass. Wow, lots of passes, 47 for 68. Well done to you. Congratulations on passing. Appreciate it. Again, I really appreciate you guys letting me know the feedback that you guys are passing and failing. It just means I've got to tweak a few things in the video to help you guys pass. April again, Mr. D. Good morning to you, April. Another pass as well, 47 out of 50, 64. Wow. Congratulations on passing. Appreciate it. Selena, welcome. You're welcome with the email. About to book your theory tests. Wish you luck with that. All right, let me do a quick overview. My theory test will be on the 12th of July. Hopefully I pass. That's a couple of weeks' time. You got a couple of Sundays to type in your questions. So while you're studying, write down your answers and bring them along to the live. Arcs away and let me answer it. Send you in there nice and confident on the 12th of July. Always get 42 or 41. If you always get, if I'm assuming you mean the real test, not mock test. If you're always getting 42, 41, there's a lack of knowledge because you're not growing. You're not even learning from mistakes. You keep making the same mistakes over and over. That hence why the score's consistent. That's the reason why. Lack of understanding. All right, let me do a quick overview and I'll keep coming back to your comments. So what am I looking for? Multiple choice, 50 questions. And you need 43 out of 50. You have 57 minutes to do that. The questions are made up of 14 categories. Some of you still not realizing that. The questions are broken down into categories and it's 14 of them and your 50 questions are drawn from those 14 categories. If there's 10 of you in the room, it's 10 different tests. It's not the same test. There's no same test for any 2 people in the room. It's random. And that's the reason why I keep saying understand the categories, because if you get 5 road signs, I believe someone emailed me this week, literally got 4 road signs wrong. And that was a difference between passing and failing. And that's the reason why I say understand the categories, because if you understand the categories, you have a better chance of passing and you want to stack the cards in your favor as much as possible. But yeah, it's 50 questions. And I will add as well, because I'm still getting the emails coming through. The questions were different, blah, blah, blah. The questions I've never seen before. The questions on the apps are sampled questions and not the real questions. They're sampled questions. Nobody knows, as in the licensed trainers, no one knows what those questions are. I only know some of them because of the feedback from my students. And even then, they don't give me all the options. So the questions are sampled questions. So when you go into the real test, they're going to be worded slightly differently. There may be questions that you've never seen before. You may get lucky and get most of the questions that you have come across on the apps. But most of you, the majority of you, will see questions that you've never seen before. And the questions will be worded slightly different. So you have to be prepared for that. I've mentioned this already. You've got 57 minutes to do your 50 questions. No one really takes the 57 minutes unless you've got a learning disability. But I would always suggest to my pupils, if it means taking 57 minutes and passing, do that rather than try to rush it and do it in 20 minutes and failing, because that doesn't make sense to me. Once you've done that, you move on to your hazard perception, which is 14 videos. 13 of them have single hazard score maximum of 5. One of them's got a double score, 10, 2 5s. You need 44 out of 75. Your average has to be 3 or more. If your average is below 3, it's going to be a fail. There's no way you can pass with a less average than 3. I will do a hazard perception demonstration because I'm still getting emails and WhatsApp messages every single week. I'm struggling with hazard perception, but I will do a demonstration at the end to show you the 2-click method. What are they looking for? It's a safe outcome. Your answer has to lead to safety in every aspect, because the driving test is about safety and control. If it doesn't lead to safety, then you're looking for a controlled outcome, which is normally your motorway questions and your first aid questions to a point. So that's the overview. So let me just catch up with the comments. Let me just read this. Good morning. Twice. Oh, congratulations. The live videos helped you out. So well done to you, 19th of June. A couple of weeks back. Congratulations. Thank you for turning up and letting me know how you got on. Appreciate that. You started your driving yet? Oh, that's a shame. Multiple choice. I was so close and confident. I really tried my best. If I flagged, I said you missed it by one, so that means you got 42, which is 8 questions wrong. If you got 8 questions wrong, it's going to be roughly about 5 categories that you would have got questions wrong in. So let me just change this a little bit. Sorry, I don't know why it's so dark. That's better. Yeah, well, again, you got data now. So what I would do, look at that. You would have got, if you got 42, you would have got at least 5 categories wrong. Those are the ones you want to revisit straight away and then go from there. But yeah, that's what I would do. As a follow-up, I went back and changed one question. Would have been good. Yeah, and again, this is what I always say to my students: do not go back and change. So if you got 42 and you went, we never know for sure. That could be the one that you changed from right to wrong, and that could have been different. Again, I can't tell you guys what to do. I'm telling you from my experience and my students, because I teach this. I'm not just saying this for the sake of saying it. Most of my students who go back and change their answer, so they go back to number 1. This is what I mean by going back. They finish the 50th question. They got doubts. They say, let me just go back and double check. And they go back to number 1, go back through the whole 50, and they think, and they start to and ah, and they start to second guess themselves, and they change. Your brain's got too much time to think and you're overthinking it. By doing that, you can change right answers to wrong answers because you talk yourself out of it. This is why I suggest that you flag as you go along. If you've got a doubt about the question, you flag it. If you've got no doubts, you leave it. So when you finish your 50th question, you go back to the flagged ones only, because you got a doubt about those ones anyway. The other questions, you didn't have a doubt because you didn't flag it. In my experience, this is why I say this, most of my students, especially when they're strong students in the boot camp or when we did it in the classroom last year onwards, when they passed 43, 44, that's a low score when they was getting 49s and 50s in the classroom. Ask them why. They said, yeah, because I went back and double checked it and I feel that I changed right answers to wrong answers. That's the reason why I don't suggest you go back. Again, you have to do you, because I don't know you and how your mind works. But in my experience teaching this, when students go from going back to number 1, their scores drop very low, especially if they're strong candidates, or worst case, they fail it when it wasn't expected. So let me just double check. There's a question that would have been good. Yeah, well, like I said, we'll never know for sure, but for me, that's one of the biggest crimes, just going back over the 50 questions. Just flag as you go. Mary Ann. 4th of July. Our guys are 4th of July. It's Friday. Let me just double check that. Yeah, this week's boot camp plot is Friday, 5 o'clock. So I wish you luck with that. Junior Lions, good morning to you. For this week, 49 out of 50, just missed it by the 1. Shame, got the 50 out of 50. I'll take the pass, don't get me wrong. But it's nice to just get that 50 out of 50. And 56 out of 75. Your videos really helped me to gain knowledge. Very well done to you. Congrats. 43, just about got the 43. Again, with my students, when they get a low score, congratulate them passing, by the way, but 43 is still low. And the reason why I say this, look at the paperwork they still give you. I say this with my students as well. If they get 43, 44s, look at the paperwork. Just make sure rules of the, this is category wise, make sure rules of the road and road signs didn't show up as your weakness. The reason being because you need the rules of the road and you need your road signs for your driving lessons. That's the reason why. So there's no harm brushing up on that if it showed up on your question categories that you got wrong. But congratulations on passing though. All right, let me start this mock test and I'll keep checking on you guys' comments. Remember, if you've got a question, type it in a Q semicolon so I can get it straight away. Gerald, I followed you for 2 sessions and I took my test on the 23rd. It's about 6 days ago. 23rd of June, I'm assuming. 46 out of 50, congrats. And 57 out of 75, well done. All right, let me do this. Right, so like I said, I had to go to my iPad this morning because for whatever reason, the desktop version is doing similar to last week where it's all first aid. I'm not going to go through that again this week. So, I need iPad. Let me just find where it is. Just this one. I need to get rid of the comments so it's not going to show up on that. Right, so hopefully you can see the white bits on here. So, question, you stopped at a railway level crossing. What should you do if red lights continue to flash after the train has gone by? So the top line will be obviously A, B, C, D. This is question 1. You can't see the questions on here. But this is question 1. I'll tell you what, let me see if I can change this live. Hold on 1 second. Because you need to type the question number into the chat. No, I still can't see it. All right, well, I'll update you guys what question you want. So this is question 1, but please, for those of you that are new, please type the question number and then A, B, C, or D. So if you think it's A, type 1A into the chat. Let me just look this back. So let me just change this because I can't put the comments at the same time. This is a pain. Let's see if this would work. Let's look this back. All right, so I can see it. So it's not blocking the answers. Oops. Right, so let's just read this. Would you advise me to book again, as I wouldn't want to have it too long whilst it's locked in? And I've been getting voice and I think you said you missed it by 1, didn't you? So that's 42, 8 questions wrong, 5 categories. I would look at the categories. There's nothing wrong with booking it. All I'm saying is don't try to book it for next week, for example. I would definitely go online and book it and aim for about, depends how much studying you can do in that time, aim for at least 2 weeks away. The reason why I say go and book it, because again, this time of year is busy. The test centers, driving tests, ferry tests, driving instructors are busy. So I would reserve your date. That's what I mean. So go onto your local test center and see what they've got. If they've got one for 2 weeks away, aim for it. If you don't feel like you're going to be ready, then obviously you can push it back. It's not a problem. But yeah, definitely go and book it and reserve the date. I'm struggling in Hazard in the ferry test. I'm going to do a demonstration, but which is at the end of the 20 questions. Let me know what you're struggling with. Are you getting 1s and 2s, or are you just getting 0s? Because there's difference of struggling. Some people get 1s and 2s, which means you're seeing it way too late. Some people are getting pure 0s. There's reasons why you're getting 0s, and the common reason because you don't understand what a hazard is, or you could be spamming. There's different reasons. Just saying struggling for hazard doesn't help. So let me know what you're struggling with, what scores you're getting. All right. So let me just catch up with these guys once. How many of you are here? 81 of you are here already. Appreciate that. So I've got 1B. Chad, how are you? Marissa, always coming through the back door. Hello, Marissa, how are you? Right, most of you are gone for talking to each other. Can't see the screen. There's not much I can do about that. I've made it as big as I possibly can. Unfortunately, like I said, the desktop version is throwing out all first aid questions, which happened last week. Right, so you guys gone for 1B. Yeah, with level crossings, it's always going to be wait. Just be patient. It's not going to be anything different than that. You're never going to be in a rush, especially on the driving test. You're never going to be in a rush. So it's going to be 1B. So what does this sign mean? I will also add, I've got a video coming out Wednesday about road signs, talking about road signs. And I do mention in the app, I do mention in the videos, because some of you are emailing me, can you get a desktop version, blah, 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 because on the phone and on your tablets, it looks really small and you're struggling to answer the questions. You can tap on the screen and enlarge it. That's the reason why I like Driving Test Success. I don't know whether the other apps allow you to do that because I don't use them. I will do a review of the other apps at some point. But on the, if you're struggling to see the road signs on your apps and tablets, phones and tablets, you can just click on the screen and it does enlarge it for you, and then you just close it back. So remember, the top line is A, B, C, D, going down in order. So some of you already got this coming in. Please check my questions posted earlier. I will get to your question. I'm just trying to get the answers first. And if you type to Q, semicolon, it would make it easier for me to find. If you didn't, it's going to be a struggle to find it. That's why I didn't answer it in the first place. I've got 2 A's and a 2D. Right. Yeah, apologize for that. Like I said, there's not much I can do. Otherwise, you would have done a similar mock test to last week, which is all first aid, which is not what this is about. It's about, guys, you guys going for 2 S and 2 Ds? Interesting. All right, let's take a look at that's. First of all, that's minimum speed limit. I don't need to read the question. That's minimum speed limit. A is maximum speed limit. D is minimum speed limit. So it's minimum. Maximum would be in a red circle. So for those of you that went for A, obviously it's wrong. I would also add blue circles are mandatory. They can ask you the question to show you a blank blue sign. Blue circles are mandatory. It means you must do whatever's in the circle. What should you do if your vehicle catches fire while you're driving through a tunnel? This is question 3, sorry. Keep you guys up to date because you guys can't see that. So it's question 3. What should you do if your vehicle catches fire while driving through a tunnel? All right, let's go back to the top and see. Which I wasn't expecting. It shouldn't be lacking, and the reason why it shouldn't lack, because you should be studying to get the knowledge back up. You've got to remember, I believe you got 42. So if you're studying, then it won't lack. So even if you booked it for 4 weeks away, 5 weeks away, you should be getting stronger over those 4 or 5 weeks. Now, if you don't study, then obviously, yes, you're going to go backwards. So it shouldn't be lacking. But yeah, with missing it by, you got 8 questions wrong. That's how you want to look at it. Do the go, like I said to you, if you got 5 categories roughly wrong, restudy those categories and then book it. But there's nothing wrong with booking it 2 weeks away and then working towards it. There's nothing wrong with that, rather than studying, wait till you're ready and then look to book it. And every era is different. You don't know what your waiting time is. So I would jump on there. I'll probably do it today. Jump on there and see what the waiting time is. So it gives you a better idea to plan, because you're studying. This is for all of you as well. What I'm noticing with the emails coming through, you guys are doing random studying. You're just doing a mock test here, a couple of questions there, and all the rest of it. Your learning needs to be structured. You need to know what you're going in there to do. So if you're struggling on road signs, go in and study road signs. If you're going to do category by category, work out what category you're going to do. But some of you are literally just studying randomly, which you're not coming out with any positive results. It's like trying to get to, I don't know, for me, trying to get to, I'm in Luton, trying to get to Milton Keynes and just jumping in my car and driving. I need to know which way to head to get to Milton Keynes. So when you're studying, you need to know what you're trying to get out of your studying. Are you trying to improve on a particular subject? Are you trying to improve on your mock test results? But was it a 20 question mock test? So are you trying to get 17, 18? Was it a 50 question mock test? Are you trying to get 47, 48? You need to know what you're trying to achieve, because if you don't know what you're trying to achieve, then you don't know if you're getting better. It doesn't make sense if you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. So try to be constructive and structured with your training. No problem. There's no early booking in Erith and Belvedere, that's a test centre, driving test centre. Erith and Belvedere, is that where you are, Erith and Belvedere? There's 2 test centres. There's Erith and Belvedere. Both of them are going to be booked up. The pass rate in both of those aren't the highest. I'm not a big fan of pass rates. I just believe if you're good enough, you're good enough. Anyway, but just to let you know, Erith and Belvedere is not the highest pass rate. It's one of the lowest. If you're in Erith and Belvedere, there's nothing wrong with trying Sidcup. Sidcup's a decent test, and it's not a million miles away from Erith and Belvedere. Right, Diego's got tests tomorrow. Wish you luck with that, Diego. All right, number 3. Just trying to find the freeze. Where are you? I think this is the first one. I'll give this pencil. Right, it seems like you. Right, 3D is the common answer. What's the question? Fire. Right, this question has been updated in recent times. In the answer, or where you can see here, it says safe to do so. Before this question, they didn't put safe in the answer, or they didn't put safe in the question. So you guys would have put, where is it? C, pull up and walk to emergency telephone. They want you to keep driving out of the tunnel so you're in open space. So as you can see here, the question or answer will make it quite clear that your car is still safe to drive. A car fire starts very small, so you've got plenty of time to get out of the tunnel. So that's the reason why. But again, the key word there for the answer is got safe in it, which means that's the correct one. This is 4, question 4. The road is wet. Why would a motorcyclist steer around drain covers, the wires in the way, while they're cornering? Right, so I'm just trying to catch up with your comments. There's so many of you typing in here, which is brilliant, but it's hard to keep up. Right, first of all, Alice is saying, hello, thank you very much for all you do. Passed my theory test, 46 out of 50, 61 out of 75. Congratulations to you, Alice. Thank you for letting me know. Fat Pappy, good morning, sir. Question, I met my recent test date. What is the maximum speed limit when you drive, when you pass dual carriageway? It says, what is the maximum speed you drive when you pass dual carriageway road? That doesn't make sense. It states, what is the maximum speed when you drive when you pass a dual carriageway? Do you mean when you come off a dual carriageway? If you mean when you pass a dual carriageway, you don't pass a dual carriageway, so that doesn't make sense. You must mean when you come off a dual carriageway. The answer is going to be 30 miles an hour, because a dual carriageway is 60 for heavy goods vehicle. There's no such thing as 50. There's no such thing as 40 for a theory test. So the answer is 30 miles an hour. You're back in the built-up area. Brilliant. I don't understand that. Anna Vin, good morning to you. I've not seen your name before, so good morning to you. All the questions on the Ahmed, sorry. First of all, good morning. I've not seen your name before. All the questions on the app will be in the theory test, just worded slightly different, and there's going to be questions that you've never seen before to make it up. On the app, I can't remember how many questions now because they put some new ones in there. There's about 770 odd questions on the app. On the real test, double that, 2012 to 2015. They got to choose from, worded differently. Not that they're not 1,500 different questions, they're just worded differently, doubled up, revamped is what I call it nowadays. But it still leads to safety. That's what you got to remember. They all lead to safety. Harrison, good morning to you. Bizrat, good morning. Caroline, good morning. Lydia, good morning. Fat Pappy, got your results, so congratulations. Wendy. No, you won't see the case studies. The case studies are totally different. They're not going to give you the case studies on the app, so you can memorize it. That's the reason why they don't release the full questions, because back in the day when they did, when the theory test first came out, people memorized the questions, and when they went for the driving test, they had no idea what they was doing. That's why they removed the answers, and now the questions from the apps. That's why it's sample questions. But yeah, they're worded differently. But again, I repeat, they still lead to safety, regardless of how they word it. You're still looking for the safest option. Nana, good morning to you. Okay. All right, so we're on 4. Let me get the 4s up. Passing to 45, 50, 57, 75. Congratulations on passing. All right, let me get these 4s up. Here's the first one, I think. Well, some of you are going for C's, A's. The letters mean the question, and they type in the question and then the letter of the answer. A's on the top line, B's on the second line. For example, this person's gone for B, which would be the second line. Right, I've got a mixture here. B's, C's, and A's on there. The road is wet, cyclist. Okay. It's A, to prevent most. Yeah, just in case you guys didn't know, cyclists, motorbikes swerve around drains and manhole covers because the back wheel do not grip, especially when it's wet. That's the reason why. What does this sign mean? Remember, tap the app, enlarge it if you need to see more detail. If you're using the 4-in-1. There's a question around you being drinking or smell of alcohol would be more expensive. Your insurance. Because if you get done drink driving, your insurance is going to go up because you're going to get points on your license. So it's your insurance. Open both gates. Because if you open one gate, you're going to drive, you have to stop on the track, then open the second gate. That doesn't lead to safety because while you're opening the second gate, a train can come. So it's open both gates at obviously the same time, and then jump in your car and then drive through that, stopping on the tracks and then go back to close the gates. Remember safety. If you do one gate at a time, you have to stop on the track to open the second gate. Leads to safety. You failed it twice, you got data. Check the categories against each other. Make sure there's no different. Like I said, jump on the website, see what the dates are in your local area because they're going to get busier. This is for everyone as well. It's the time of year when schools are finishing, unis are finishing, people are going to be diving in to book their theory test and driving test. Yeah, practice both. Don't, unless you're nailing hazard perception 50, 55 plus on a regular basis, then you can put that to one side and focus on the questions. With my students, as long as they start to hit the 50s, 55s, we don't really focus on hazard perception too much after that. It's questions because you never, hazard is a hazard. It's just 2-click method. See the problem, click 1, 2, click again. It doesn't change regardless. But the questions, you don't know what questions you're going to get. So that has to be on point. That's changeable or variable. Where the hazard perception is just a hazard. See it, as long as you know what a hazard is, you shouldn't really have a problem with that. But yeah, practice both to make sure you're nailing them. I think Palm, I am doing well. Have a lovely day, Advance. Hopefully you having love. I'm looking at your avatar football. Or is that cricket? I think it's cricket. Yeah, hopefully you have a lovely day. Again, this is me being picky. When my students say I'm 1 mark away, I change that straight away. You got 8 questions wrong. That's how you look at it. Once you start, I've got a video on the channel, failed by 1 or something like that. It's the way the brain works, and because I work on mental state as well, passing the theory test, because nerves changes stuff, and obviously on the driving test you do get nervous, so I work on being positive and mental strength. Anyway, that's minor. When you tell yourself that you failed by 1 or missed it by 1, you train to get the 1. That's why students always say, I missed it by 1, I'm taking my test next week, because they automatically think, well, I missed it by 1, I'll get it next time. It's only 1 I need. You're going to work enough to get the 1. Now, if you go and remember, it's a different test when you go back. So it's a 50 different questions. So if you haven't trained for the questions you got wrong and they appear similarly, you're going to get them wrong again. So you're already still back to where you are. That's why someone earlier on said, I always get 41, 42, because the knowledge is not growing. They're still making the same mistakes. That's why you still get the same scores. So you want to say to yourself, I got 42 and I got 8 questions wrong. Don't say to yourself, I missed it by 1, or I was 1 short. You need 1 to pass, but you got 8 questions wrong, which means now what you're going to do, you're going to work to get those 8 questions right. So hopefully the next time, if you fall short of the 50, you'll fall forwards, which means you're still passing. Whereas if you aim for 43 and you fall short, you'll fall backwards, which is 42 or less. So always say to yourself, I got X amount of questions wrong, whatever it was. And that's what you're trying to improve on, rather than I'm just trying to get the 1 to pass. It's just a mental thing. Sorry, I did question 5. Let's try to find the 5s and I'll come back to the comments. looks like you guys are agreeing on this one where you got the B's. Hazard perception. I'll come back to that. Let me come back to that one in a minute. All right, 5B is the common answer. It's a motorway sign. End of motorway. Yes, crossed out. So it's end of motorway. What does the term blind spot mean? So what does the term blind spot mean? Right, let me come back to this. Absolute facts, man. I'm going to try to get 50 out of 50. Always 50 out of 50. Hazard perception is slightly different. It's contradicting because, like I said, you should be aiming for 75. But sometimes, again, it's how the brain works. You aim for 75 and you get 45, for example. You get frustrated. You're trying to get the highest mark possible in the clip is the best way to say it. That's contradicting. Questions are different. You have to get 43 to pass. Aim for 50. With the hazard perception, as much you need to get 44 to pass, all you need to do is get a score on the hazard. That's how I teach it. Get a score on the hazard. If you do the 2-click method, you tend to get 5s, 4s. Worst case, you get 3, which means you're passing. But if you try to get 75 on your hazard perception, and then you'll see your score of 52. You still pass it, but your brain automatically think, I'll try to get 75. I got 52. That's way too low. You start to get frustration. Again, it's the way the brain works. So I just say to my students, get the highest score or get a score on the problem. They'll add up to you passing. That's a different mindset. Question and hazard perception are 2 different things, 2 different mindsets. That's just the way that is. So be very careful trying to aim for 75. And obviously getting a lower score where you get frustrated yourself by getting a low score. So like I said, it's a different mindset. So just be careful is what I'm saying with that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, quite a few to passing and still coming there and tuning in. So I do appreciate that. There's 105 of you here as well at this point in time on a Sunday morning, 10 to 11. Give us I do appreciate it. Like I said, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. So by you being here makes me be here, if that makes sense. If the numbers wasn't here, I wouldn't be here. I'd probably still be in bed, catching up on some sleep. So we're on 6. Absolutely. I've seen your message. I'm going to come back to that. Let me just catch up with the 6s. That's the last 6 is 60. An area not visible to the driver. Yes, the mirrors do not pick up everything. As instructors, we call it blind spot. Blind spot is a massive, massive part of your driving test. So you do have to be second nature with that when you take your driving lessons. Because the examiner will pull you up on the test on the left-hand side minimum 4 times. And every time you go to move off from the left, he's looking for you to check your blind spot. Sorry, let me get rid of this so you guys can see. Again, son, this is question 7, by the way. So type 7, whatever you think it is. Again, blowing it up. So let's come back to this. Done that. It's because I got 42, 1 mark off and 67 last time, so hopefully I improve on both. You see, if you was my student, let me just put this down again. It's a mindset thing, and it's just me probably being fussy. You've got it's cause I got 42, 1 mark off. So you're saying 1 mark rather than 8 questions, and 67 last time. So hopefully I can improve on both. Now, if you was my student, I wouldn't even worry about the hazard perception. 67 is way, way, way above. You got that nailed. It's very rare that someone gets 67 on hazard perception and then fails it on the next time round. It's very rare. That's what I said. It's a different mindset with hazard perception. It's just get a score and it adds up to whatever it adds up to. But I would focus on improving the 42 because you need to get at least 43 to pass. That has to be improved, even if it's just by 1. But you're looking to aim for 50. Hazard perception, I wouldn't even really bother with. You've got that nailed. But like I said, it's a mind thing. You're talking about improving on both. I think you're putting pressure on yourself, trying to improve on both. You want to focus on and ease the pressure by just focusing on getting 50 out of 50 on your hazard, on your multiple choice. Leave the hazard perception alone. But again, like I said, you have to do you. But if you was my student, that's what I would do. Ease the pressure and take the pressure off. That's no problem. Please make some more videos on hazard perception. I'm doing bad in that. Tina, on every live that I do now, at the end of it, you can, obviously it's on YouTube, you can fast forward towards the end after the mock tests, and I do a hazard perception clip every single week. Me doing hazard perception videos, I get you guys are struggling, but it's the same video over and over. It's the same 2-clip method. I can't word it or change it in any other way. But if you want to see more videos or hazard perception, look at the lives, the last 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. Towards the end, I'll do a hazard perception demo as standard now, because the emails I'm getting as you're here saying I'm struggling with hazard perception, I'll do it every single week. So you don't have to wait for me to do a video, just watch a live session or the replay and you'll see it. I'll do a live session on this one as well. 7, let's try to find the 7s. So if you turn up weekly on the live, you see a new one every week. Fifi's next. Right, you guys all agree on this one, so it's the B. Right. You guys go for B, wasn't it? Distance to parking place. Said, yeah, distance to parking place. Straightforward. Which sign means there'll be two-way traffic crosses your route ahead. So let me just show you so you know which one to put A, B, C, or D. This is A. This is B. So you got A and B on the top line. C, D. So you got C and D on the bottom line. I'll do that one more time. A, B, C, D. So again, just put your comments in the chat. Is it Yabawa? I've seen your Yabawa World. I've seen your comment. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. I wish you luck with that test tomorrow, by the way. But I'll come back to your comment in a minute. I thought when I it's funny because when I saw your answer, I thought, how do you get A from that question? Please make a video related to the car lights. There's a video on the channel. If you go to the playlist, question of the week, I've done car lights, gears, fluid, and warning lights. That's not going to happen. I'll say it's not going to happen. Not going to happen immediately. You asked me to cover everything on that. During the boot camp, I cover all of that in the boot camp. We cover gears, fluid, warning lights, car lights, automatic, manuals. During the boot camp, it's the best place to get all of that information, but you're not going to get it through videos anytime soon anyway. I ain't got enough time. Someone's got the blue one. I don't know how you get the answer for the blue one. Thank you, Diego. I appreciate that. What's the last one? Most of you gone for C. What's the question? It was two-way, wasn't it? Two-way traffic crosses your route ahead. Right, let me just quickly explain something. With images, I say this in the bootcamp a lot. So you got to imagine you're going from bottom, starting at the bottom, going to the top. When you do signs and images, it makes life a lot easier. It's a shame that I haven't got my pencil to draw on screen because I can't do it on the iPad. So the answer, let me just show the answer, is C. So if you imagine you're going up, because the question says which sign means there's two-way traffic crosses your route ahead. You're going from bottom to top. So you're on the one-way street and the two arrows are going across your path. And that's the reason why it's C. Someone picked A, is two-way traffic. Traffic passes either side to get to the same destination is blue. So mandatory sign. Triangles are warnings. So that's the way to imagine your signs and images. Imagine going from bottom to top. And then, like I said, it makes life a lot easier to read images. What does this sign mean? Again, you can blow it up if you want more detail. Carl Williams, I appreciate the super chat. I really, really do. Thank you very much. Yes, your boa. Sorry. My test is tomorrow in advice. Yes, turn up early. You're supposed to be there 15 minutes beforehand. Turn up early so you're not rushing and panicking, stressing. If you do get there really early, you can go in, announce yourself. Let's just say you turn up half an hour early, for example, rather than staying outside, stressing, freaking out, all the rest of it, doing more mock tests before you go in and draining your mental brain. Go in there early, announce yourself, say, look, I'm here for my theory test. It is at X. If they've got a spare seat, they'll get you in. As soon as someone comes out, they like to fill a seat, so you don't have to turn up bang on time. But yeah, my main point is turn up early so you're chilled and relaxed. When you go in there, read the questions very carefully, read the answers very carefully, read all the answers, by the way. So even if you think the first one's the correct answer, still read B, C, D, because sometimes they've got the similar answers, but one's got more information than the other. Sometimes the other one's got law in it. If it's law, it overrides everything else. That's what you want to do. If you don't know what the answer is, flag it, move on. You still have to tick an answer, but you can tick any answer. It makes no difference. Flag it, move on. If you feel stressed, panicked in there, what you do, just take a step back. When I say step back, just lean back in your seat, away from the screen. Take a few deep breaths because the brain needs oxygen to think clearly. If you try to work through the stress that you are feeling, the anxiety you are feeling, you're going to pick wrong answers. The brain needs oxygen. Take a step back, breathe, breathe, breathe. And then when you finish, go back over your flagged questions only. Do not go back to number 1 and do check all 50. Go back to the flagged ones. That's what I suggest you do. With the hazard perception, there's not much you can do with that. Once you click start, it just runs and runs and runs. But again, do a 2-click method. If your test is tomorrow, I'm assuming that you are ready for the hazard perception side of it. So you should have that sorted out. If you're not, stick around to the end. I will do a demonstration on that. But that's my advice for you. Travel light tomorrow as well. What I mean by travel light, don't carry big bags and stuff that you don't need, because they do a security check and they're going to ask you to put stuff in the locker. You don't want to carry excessive stuff that you don't need. And make sure you're hydrated, because you can't take water in there with you. So make sure you're hydrated before you go in. So that's my advice for you. So we're number 9. I didn't tell you that. Because there's lots of comments, but you guys are on it. That's all the ones that come through. So I've got 9C. Don't know why I went blank on that. Yeah, it's 9C. Tunnel ahead. What should the driver of the car approaching the crossing do? Again, you can blow it up, look for more information, and then shut it down to get your answers. All right, let me catch up with these comments, because some of you guys are really, really typing a lot, which is brilliant. Oh, wow. Okay. Carl Williams, again, appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much. So Carl Williams has written, hi mate, I failed my favorite test 9 times. Watch your videos for a week and passed it 44 out of 50 and 62. Well done to you. At 75, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. You are more than welcome. When someone struggles, like I say, take it says 5, 6, 7 times. We had this conversation last week, and I told you the story about a pupil of mine failed it 22 times. So literally done the intensive course and paid over £1,000 basically just to take a theory test because he couldn't pass. He can drive, but he couldn't pass the theory test, and he passed it. And as I mentioned last week, there's reasons why people fail. Someone comes to me, in this case, if Carl came to me and said, I failed my theory test, I don't look at him as stupid. There's a reason why he's failing. Not because he's stupid. There's other reasons. It could be mental health, learning disabilities, anxiety when it comes to tests, blah, blah, blah. So you've got to take people on face value. Some people pass first time, and some people will take, in Carl's case, 9 times. But to be honest, someone who takes 9 attempts and still goes and then pass it, it's more satisfaction to me. That shows determination. It's nice to pass first time, don't get me wrong. Less stress, less pressure. But this shows a lot of character. So well done to you, Carl. And typing it out on the chat as well. Do you know what I mean? That's not easy. It's brave. So hopefully the driving doesn't take you 9 times. But hopefully the driving goes a bit smoother. Number 10. So let's just catch up with the 10s and I'll catch up with the comments in a minute. And that's something that you guys have got to understand. If you're failing the theory test on a regular, there's other underlying reasons why you're failing. It's not because sometimes it's very straightforward to say, I didn't understand the questions, didn't understand it. But it could be sometimes it's underlying issues, which that's fine. If it's boring, that's fine. Switch off. It's not a problem. I ain't got an issue with that. I'm not for everybody. But like I said, when I explain things, I like to explain things properly. So if it's boring, switch off. I've got no issues with it at all. You're welcome. Answer the questions quickly. If that's what you want, I suggest what you do is you switch off and then watch the replay. But you can fast forward, watch it 2 times speed, 4 times speed, whatever it is. But the last thing you're going to do is come in here and tell me to answer questions quickly. I try to help people. I'm not just here to help you and you alone. So I repeat, for you personally, I would suggest you just switch off and go elsewhere. Why should I ban a student at the 3rd attempt? You tell me why they should ban a student at the 3rd attempt. Give me a good explanation for that. How do you flag questions? Give me 1 second, Tunde, and I'll try to show you that on here. What do you mean by that? Fifi, give me a bit more detail on that. Yes, they have the microphones. They have the headphones out permanently now. Before you had to ask in advance. So if you want to use the headphones, put the headphones on. But I would suggest, Chidi, if you're going to use the headphones or voiceover, I would suggest you practice at home with it because it's a different experience. Don't go in there at home reading questions and then put the headphones on. It's a different environment. What you guys should be doing is practicing the way you're going to practice on the test, the real test itself. So if you want to use headphones at home so you get the same experience, the same vibes. If you're not using headphones, then obviously when you're going to the test, don't just run headphones for the first time. So 10. Don't worry about Ahmed. It's not a problem. There's some people who are just not considerate of others. Must have missed this. Right, 10A. Sorry, you guys going for A. Slow down, be ready to stop. Yeah, with zebra crossings, you always got to slow down and stop. Safety. What shape are traffic signs giving orders? Again, this is A, this is B, this is C, and this is D. So Chidi, let me see if I can do this. Hold on 1 second. I've got to change the size of the screen. Hopefully it shows up. So it's going to be to this top. So this is for Chidi. I just want to show something. If you notice at the bottom, I ain't got a highlight. If you notice at the bottom here, it's got a flag. It hardly shows up on the screen. I'm going to take it off and then I'm going to flag it. It just shows up in green. So that's what flagging means. At the bottom of your screen, you got a picture of a flag. So if I wasn't sure of what the answer was, I can answer the question, flag it, then move on. And then when you get to the 50th question, answer it. It asks you, do you want to review your flagged ones? It'll take you back to only the flagged questions. So the flag is right at the bottom of the screen. For the driving test success, on the real test, it's at the bottom as well. For the other apps, I don't know if they do it because, like I said, I don't use them. So let me just shrink this back. So you guys can see that. Let's log that back. So Chidi, hopefully that helps. So let's get the 11s. Trying to find 11s. Hold on 1 second. Right, yeah, like I said, I just don't understand that. You've got people with learning disabilities. They're going to take more than one attempt to, or more than 3 attempts in some cases. I don't believe you should stop someone's dreams of anything just because it takes them longer than any other person. So let me just take this down. It's 11D, which is the circle. Circles are orders. Red circles are orders. What should you do if an instrument panel warning light comes on while you're driving? Let's see if I can catch up with some of these guys. Calvin, what's harder, practical test or theory test? Everybody's different. For me personally, if I was doing my theory test now, theory test would be harder for me because I've got dyslexia. So I would struggle with that. I'm practical minded, so driving would be a lot easier for me, but everybody's different. Some people like the practical side of it and some people like the theory side of it. So it's down to the individual. Both are hard in general, but if you've got more of a problem with one or the other, like I said, for me, reading would be a struggle. Driving would be easier because I'm more practical and hands-on. So that question I can't answer. It's down to the individual. And Chidi, hopefully I've answered the question about flagging. 12. That's 11, sorry. Right, you guys are gone for B. Check out the problem quickly. Yeah, again, it's got safely in the answer. So get that panel checked out as soon as possible. What can cause excessive or uneven tire wear? I think I've just answered that. So I failed to score 41 more. Congratulations on passing again. Didn't give up. Congratulations on passing that. (49 out of 50). Missed it by 1. Multiple choice 49.75. Congratulations on passing. Free will. passed as well. Congratulations. So I'm just catching up on the comments. Was there been some follow up here to say a big thank you. 4560 kept hearing your voice for your videos. I love when students say that I hear my voice through the videos, especially on the driving test. Don't take chances, don't take risk. Congratulations on passing, by the way. Thank you for letting me know. Morning, is HGV theory and you came live every day or not? I don't understand what you mean by that. If you're saying is HGV theory the same, no. It's similar, but the HGV's got certain questions to HGV. Again, if you use the 4-in-1 app, go to the settings, you can change the questions from car theory to HGV theory. That's why I like it, because it's got other tests on there, motorcycles and the instructor test on there as well. If you're asking, am I going to come live every day? That's no. But yeah, you can change the questions on that. I think I asked that. Yes, you can. Got my test tomorrow. Wish you luck. I wish you luck with that tomorrow, Monday. Come back next week. Let us know how you got on. Should you keep asking? Hopefully I've answered that. Yes, you can use the voice over. All right, let me catch up with these 13s. I'm just trying to find the 13s in there. There we go. A, so you guys are mixed. Can't make it any clearer than that. Unfortunately, the app is a white background. I can't make it any bigger. Appreciate, yeah, like I said, unfortunately, let's just love your hair. That's the main thing. Yeah, I apologize for not using the desktop version, but like I said, the desktop version, when I checked it, I didn't want the same as last week. It's all first aid. For some reason, they're just throwing up all the first aid questions, and we get to number 10, 12 before they start asking other questions. You don't want to spend another week doing all first aid stuff. That's the reason why. So yeah, I apologize for the quality of the iPad version. You guys were split on this 13 Bs. I got A's as well. It says what can cause excessive or uneven tire wear, which is your braking system. Which is your braking system. Because the brakes are connected to the wheels, there's a connection there. Uneven tire wear, what's connected to the tires is your brakes. Electrical system, gearbox, and exhaust have got nothing to do with your wheels. How can you reduce the risk of vehicle being broken into at night? So how can you reduce the risk? I'm sort of new here, sort of new. Welcome. 2 days left to my theory test, feeling anxious, but already read, so I just need. Didn't finish your sentence. You are going to feel anxious. You're going to feel nervous. That's natural. What you've got to do is just make sure the nerves don't overtake you, as in control you, that you can't think clearly. It's the same for you guys when you're going for driving tests. I think it was Calvin that asked which is harder for theory test or driving test. As I said, the example I used at the beginning of the live with my student, where we drove around the area talked about bus stops, bus lanes, not bus stops, and he still drove in a bus lane to fail his driving test. Nerves can get the better of you, but you need to try to control it. Nerves is a good thing. It's not a bad thing, because you need the nerves to get you that adrenaline flow. I always say to my students, if they say to me on test day, driving test day, they're not nervous, it makes me nervous because I'm wondering why. But like I said, just don't let it control you. If you feel that you're ready as well, then you should be in control of it. But I wish you luck with your test in a couple of days' time. Please come back next week and let us know. We're on 14, Judith, but I'm taking your B as an answer. What's the question? It's not going to be B. You don't. That's what the thief wants, is for you to park in a quiet road. So when they break your window, no one's going to hear them or see them. You want to park in a well-lit area. So if they make noise, as in break your windscreen or whatever it is, they can be spotted because it's well lit. That's the reason why it's C. Right. So this is 15. So what should you do when you're following a motorcyclist along a road that has a poor surface? I didn't see this one. Wish you luck tomorrow with that. It's Monday. Wish you luck with that. Please come back next week. Let us know how you got on. This one. First says 47 out of 50. Congratulations. 63. No problem. Elimination methods. That's another way of doing it. I think it was your brother's got a test tomorrow. If you don't know what the answer is, you can always flag it, go back, and then work backwards. So what I mean by working backwards is working out what it can't be. Pick the wrong answer, get rid of it, and then you're left with 1 in 3 chance of being right. Sometimes there's 2 stupid answers on there. Sometimes there's even 3 stupid answers. Then by default, you're left with the correct one. Oh, you let 2 years lapse. I wish you luck with that on Wednesday. If you're talking about the driving test, you book one. Book one, go and take it and pass it. No S's or D's, no dangerous or minors. You're welcome. No problem. Right, what are we on? 15. Let's find the 15s. Right, you're going for C's on this. 15B. You're going for C, allow extra room in case of swerve. Yeah, allow extra room. Someone's gone for B, follow closely so they can see you in the mirrors. Once you got closely, it can't be safe. Maybe it's supposed to lead to safety. If you're driving behind someone closely, that can't be safe in any shape or form. 16. Why should you use your mirrors when you see a hazard ahead? Failed by 3, which means you got 40. So that's 10 questions wrong. That 10 questions wrong is about 7 to 8 categories wrong. And that's almost half the categories, 7 to 8 categories. That's almost half the categories. I'll go back to square one and do the categories individually. Marianne, so that means you don't drive past the bus mark area. Do you mean bus lane area? I'm assuming that you mean you're referring to my pupil. Certain bus lanes you can drive in. Where he took his test in Tottenham, the bus lanes are 24/7, so you can't drive in there at any time. That's why I said don't worry about bus lanes. But like I said, the nerves got the better of him and he went into a bus lane for a short period of time and then realized and came out, but it's too late. It's broken the rules. So some bus lanes you can drive in and some you can't. You have to read the times and days of what applies. And that's the advantage of driving in the area. Someone asked me earlier on about taking the test outside of the area. Having an advantage of knowing the area doesn't always help. It didn't help my people, but it does help to keep the nerves calmer if you know what's coming. 16. Guys gone for B. Yep. How your actions are going to affect drivers behind. 17. What does this sign mean? What's the app do you recognize is to be used? Thanks for the great service. Good. Continue to bless you. I'm assuming you mean what app do I suggest that you use? I driving test success. I'm not knocking the other apps. I'm not saying that other apps are bad. It's what I only recommend, what I use, what I do, and what I advise my students, because pointless to me suggesting something that I have no idea how it works. So driving test success is what I would recommend because I get the better results out of it. Like I said, to be honest, you can use any app as long as you're paid for it because it's a similar type questions. They're all, if you're paying for the license, so you're pretty much confident enough it's going to give you the information you need. But for ease of use, I recommend driving test success. Yes, Hannah, it's actually live. Welcome. You guys are going for the A's. Mary Ann, MBA, are you in the boot camp tomorrow? Because I'm sure I sent out an email to you yesterday, the welcome email. Just confirm if it's you that's going to be in the boot camp tomorrow. I've seen that name coming up and I'm thinking MBA, you've recognized that name yesterday. Uh, 17A is what you guys go for. Routes for trams. Yep. 18. What does it mean if your trailer has a maximum authorized mass of 3,500 kg? So what does it mean? Oh, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Sorry, let me just make this smaller because it's blocking the answer at the bottom. Tina, the link is in the description of this video. When this is ended, you can go onto YouTube and go in the description. The link is in the description. The boot camp is where I do a 5-day training session, 2 hours a day, between 4:30 p.m. 6:30 p.m. live on Zoom, so you get to ask any questions that you want to ask. And I do a structured training. That's why I say structured. So Monday to Friday is structured training where we cover all the syllabuses that you need for your ferry training, to pass your ferry test. And also, Jude, if you're way behind, we're number 18. And also you have access to more training material. So there's all the training material that you need to pass your ferry test, and you have access to that training material until you pass your ferry test. There's extra videos in there. Everything's under one roof, and you've got access to the live recording. So every Zoom training is recorded, so you can go back and watch the replay to pick up any notes, anything that you may have missed. And you have email support, so you can send the emails in, and the team will respond to you as soon as possible with your questions as well. Marianne, that's not an option. You got to pick A, B, C, or D. Remember, if you don't pick one, you can't be right. But if you pick one, you have a chance of being right. And also by picking one, if it's wrong, you learn from the mistakes. If you pick nothing, you learn nothing. So let's put this back up here. And that's what I noticed as well. When you guys are studying, you don't know what the answer is. You try not to pick anything. You don't learn anything from not picking an answer. You learn from mistakes. So pick an answer. Try to work it out first, logically, by using skills, elimination, that type of thing. And if you get it wrong, you learn from the mistake you've made. And that's how you improve. You mustn't be afraid to make mistakes. The majority have gone for D. Your trailer and load combined cannot weigh more than 3,500 kg. Right, how can drivers help the environment? This is 19, by the way, sorry. Jude, if you're way behind, you're going 16. This is going way back, just trying to catch up on the comments. Junior's got, I would recommend using headphones to help block out any background distractions out too. Every test center is different. Some are quieter than most. So again, it depends on your center. But I would highly suggest, if you're going to use headphones, make sure you practice using it at home. It's a different experience. I filmed my ferry test on Thursday, 39, Hazard 54. So past Hazard Perception, so that's sorted. I can't answer that. First of all, you got 11 questions wrong. So personally, I would go back to doing the categories on that one, because 11 questions wrong. And this is common. You're passing the app questions. Sometimes you see the same questions coming up, you know what the answer is. So it gives you a full sense of security on that. That's the reason why you're getting 47s. But when you go for the real test, you are exposed to questions that you've never seen before. They're worded totally different that you may not have seen on the app before, hence why the 39. That just suggests a lack of understanding of the question. This is why I suggest as well, if you watch the videos that I do, understand the questions, so you know what they are asking. So no matter how it's worded, you still understand what they are asking for. Just knowing what the question is and knowing what the answer is on the app is different from understanding it on the real test. Hence why you got 39. So it just shows lack of knowledge there and lack of understanding. So you need to just study the categories again, in my opinion, on that one. I think I'm pretty much all caught up. We're in 19. 18. Yeah, they normally word the question, you've just passed your driving test. What's the maximum that you can tow, which is 3,500 kg mass? So Hannah's definitely right. Everything should weigh no more than 3,000 after you've just passed your driving test. As you got more experience, and obviously you can tow a lot more. So I'm just trying to find the 19s. There's so many comments. There we go. Fifi's gone for A. Their cars agreeing. Turn up early and calm down before you go in. Yeah, don't arrive late. Give yourself plenty of time. But like I said, if you turn up early enough, you can go in and announce yourself. And if they've got a spare seat, they will let you in. Sorry, Mossy, you've gone for A. By accelerating gently. When they say accelerate gently, they mean for the right speed, for the right gear you're in. In other words, first gear is normally 0 to 10 miles an hour. So you're not doing 15, 16 in first gear. So that's what they mean by accelerating gently. And the last one, so number 20. What should you do before making a U-turn? Sorry, it didn't come from the screen. I don't know why it's gone small. Hold on one second. Let's try to get this. There we go. So Hannah said, I was too nervous last time I got there and there was something wrong with my signature and it threw me off. Yeah, your signature has to match what's on your license. Same thing for your driving test, by the way. So if you guys have had your license for a while, just make sure your signature matches what's on the license. If it's totally different, they won't take you out for your driving test. They won't even let you take your theory test. It has to be similar, even though the picture looks like you as well. I've got B's and D's. You guys are split on this. B's and D's. Right, what should you do before making a U-turn? What's B? Check road markings. No, it's not going to be check road markings. It's going to be D. The theory test is about safety, so they're always going to put you in a situation where it's safe to do it. So you won't have to check. In real life, you'll have to check road markings and make sure it's allowed. But for the theory test, they always put you in a safe situation. Remember, it's about safety, so you don't have to check road markings. It's going to be D, which is your blind spot. We had a blind spot question earlier on. It's a space, an area that the mirrors don't pick up. So it's a blind spot check. I repeat, the examiner's not going to get you to do a U-turn, but blind spot checks is massive for your driving test. So that's the last one. This one doesn't show, does it? No, it doesn't show the categories like it does on the desktop version. So let me just go through the comments on this. Come out of this. So I do apologize for using the app version on the iPad. Like I said, when I logged in this morning, done a tech check, all the questions on the desktop was all about first aid, the new first aid questions. Oh, brilliant. Ready for test, Carl. Have you got a test date? Are you still trying to be one of the thousands looking for these few test dates? Terry, you're welcome. Yeah, with the blind spots question, or the U-turn question, it's always going to be blind spots. Road signs, road markings on the theory tests always put you in a safe situation. So they assume it's all. Siri's just kicked in. Yeah, sorry, they all automatically assume it's going to be safe, so that you have to make it safer, and that's where the blind spot check comes in. And a blind spot check is looking over your right shoulder, not looking to the right. This is for you guys taking driving lessons, by the way. The examiner doesn't want to see you looking to the right. You're looking over your shoulder before you move off. Judith, you're 19. The test, you're way behind. Don't know why, but then if you're behind, you're not seeing this when I'm talking as well. I appreciate you still going though. So yeah, if you guys got any questions about your driving lessons, driving tests, type it in. What I'm going to do now is do the hazard perception. So I just need to rotate my iPad. Let me put this away. So hopefully you can go to see the hazard perception better. Get the case, so that makes life a lot easier. So the hazard perception is 14 videos, if you don't know that already. And 13 of them have single hazard, one of them's got double. You're looking for a problem that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction. The hazard perception is the equivalent of you checking the mirrors. Fifi, you're welcome. So the clicking of your mouse, getting your 4s and 5s, is you checking the mirrors if you're driving in real life. So what they're trying to say to you in real life driving, see the problem nice and early so you can start to deal with it. So you see the problem early, check your mirror. Now you've got time to see the problem, calm down, because you're not rushing and panicking to deal with the problem. That's what the hazard perception is about. Why do you need to practice using the mouse and the computer? Oh, you got one for November, but hopefully to find cancel so I can do it before. Use an app called, I forgot it's called now. I forgot what the app is called. Test Shift, I think it's called. Where you type in the detail. If you've got a test date booked for November, then what you do is type the details in and it will look for an earlier test date based on what you've typed into the app. So you can type your local test center. If one comes up, it will change it for you. I think it's called Test Shift, but there's a couple of out there. Anyway, just type in moving driving test app, and there's quite a few out there. And then, like I said, if you've got a test date already booked, it makes your life a little bit easier. So I just want to go back to Hannah's comment. If you're using your phone or a tablet, it's the same. When you go to the real test center, it's usually just a mouse where you just click the answer, so you don't need to practice a mouse on that. And on the hazard perception, you've got, let me go a bigger screen. You've got a mouse on your hazard perception, and all you do, there's no cursor, so you just sit back and you just click, click, click. It registers the click, so you're not clicking on the hazard itself. You're not clicking on the video itself. You just see the problem. You literally just click. Done. Similar to how you do it on your phone and tablet, where you see the problem and you just tap the screen. It's a similar version. So you don't need to be practicing with mouse and computer to be test ready. All you need to do is make sure your scores are good enough to be test ready. But I wish you luck with that. You got 9 days, you said. I'm here next Sunday. So while you're studying during the week, type down any questions that you may have, bring it along next week, and let's send you in that test. Good to go. All right. So let me come on, this one's better. We don't lose points. We get check tested if the too many fails on a regular. So if instructors having 7, 8, 9, 10 fails in a row, that may trigger a check test where the examiner sits in the back of a car to watch us teach. If it's the same fault, so for example, let's say I had 5 test fails, but all of them was on mirrors, that's an issue. That shows I'm probably not teaching mirrors properly. But an instructor will only take you to test, or should only take you to test, if they feel that you are test ready. I know some students want to go for tests and have a go. That's not the way it works, where you could be totally dangerous. The reason being because every test is logged against our badge. There's a license in the window, and every test is logged against that. And if you bring a student that's not test ready, that should never be there, this question is going to be asked. And technically it's our job on the line, because if they take away our license, we can't teach. So that's the reason why. So if your instructor says, I can't take you because you're not test ready, that's the reason why, because his job's on the line when it comes down to it. But we don't lose points as such if you're test ready, because things happen. I repeat, my people the other day drove in a bus lane, didn't see that coming, shouldn't be happening. But it did. That's just life. I'm going to give Judith a props because she's got their 20D. Sorry, I use apps usually, so it's best if I use computer. It's different, especially for hazards. I keep using my finger accidentally. Okay, appreciate that. I don't really understand the video in hazard perception. Please, what can I do to understand it? I can see the rate people pass with this hazard. I really want to pass. Well done, Mr. D. You're the best. Thank you for the kind words. I will repeat, hazards is anything that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction. So if you feel that you're going to be slowing down in the video, you need to click. If you feel like you're going to shift left or right, you need to click. That's what a hazard is, or the developing hazard. There's two types. Potential could have been a problem, but it wasn't. And the other one is the developing, which was the problem, which caused you to slow down. That's what that is. So let me just go back to that comment. So that's what you need to understand. Once you understand, let's make this bigger. Once you understand that, oops, that's way too big. Let me change hands. Once you understand that, it makes life a little bit easier. So let me do the video. Where are you? I will also add on your because some of you don't know this, on your apps, you have real life clips and CGI clips. The real life ones are hard to see, and some of them are out of sync. So even though you saw it and clicked early, sometimes you still may get a 3 or 2. It's just out of sync sometimes. But the CGI ones are better quality, and they're finally in tuned with the scoring system. When you go for the real tests, there are all CGIs. There's no real life clips on the real ones. They're all CGI, so they're crystal clear, and they're slightly slower based on the feedback that I get from the students. So I'll do a real life one first. I'll do a commentary drive. I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing, so you know why I'm clicking, and then we can review it back at the end. So this has got no stars, and you can see it's being downloaded. So I've not done this before, so I'm seeing it first time like you guys are. So when you're watching the video, you should be scanning from left to right, right to left. There's a car parked up on the left, but it's in the driveway. People crossing the road. Oh, that's late. Again, the reason why you're scanning from left to right, right to left, because there's road signs on the pavements. I think I've got a 0 on this one already. But keep going. You never know. There's a roundabout coming up. There's a problem there. I can't see what that is. The quality is really poor. I can't see what's going on. Yeah, but I think I got a 0 because there's a couple of people with all car coming out. So that may be the problem. I thought the people crossing the road might have been the problem. That's why I say keep going. You never know. And always do 2 clicks. Click 1, 2, click again. Road's narrow. 4 out of 5. So where I thought I messed up, I still got 4 out of 5 because I thought it was for the pedestrians earlier on in the video. So this is where I thought I messed up. You see the yellow circle? That's where I thought I messed up because my click comes now when they stepped onto the pavement. But that's why I say keep going, because you don't know what the hazard is. So let me just speed it up for you guys. So the car coming out there, that's where my first click was, just in the 4, or just missed the 5. And then you go for 2 clicks. So you literally click, go 1, 2, and then click again. So I repeat, anything that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction. So if you watch the video, the car slows down because he came out. That's why I clicked. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me just see if there's any comments in here.
Vehicle to join the carriageway.
Come back next Sundays before your test and ask any questions that you may have. No problem. We spoke about this in the beginning. You can, but I would suggest you flag as you go along and then go back and review the flagged ones only. If you want to go back to number 1 and check all 50, that's up to you. But in my experience, when someone does that, they overthink it and they change the right answers to the wrong ones. So flag as you go. But the answer to your question in simple terms, yes, you can go back and change your answers before you click finish. Once you click finish, it's locked in. Mr. D, there are new rules for the theory test. You can't fail 3 times. That's news to me. That's I can't see happening. I'll do some research on that, but that's news to me. Like I said, theory test you can take as many times as you need, because not everybody is academic. It's simple as that. So it's being very what you're saying is you take it 3 times, fail it 3 times, when you can't take it again, which means you can never drive, or do you have to wait a certain time before you can take it again? As far as I'm aware, that rule doesn't exist and it's unlikely to come in. Even with a driving instructor, if you fail a theory test, the driver instructor theory test as many times, it doesn't matter. Because not, like I said, not everyone is academic. September, and we're in July next week, August, September. You got a test booked. As I said, use the apps, try to shift it, and hopefully you get one before that, and hopefully you pass first time as well. It's doable. You just have to try to put the work in, try to get the test shifted, and then make sure you don't get nervous on the test day and make a silly mistake like my people did. Congratulations on passing. 48 multiple. I got 48 multiple. I missed it by 2. 57. All right, let me Hannah sending that some love. All right, let me do another hazard perception. Right, so I'll show you my screen. Let's get rid of this. So real life 58. Again, I've not seen that before. So it's live, literally. It's downloading to my tablet. The van, I don't know if that van's coming out. I'm going to click again just to make sure. Don't be afraid to do 3 clicks if you have to. Remember, it's about getting a score. Just get that score. Car's coming towards me. Tight space. Another car's coming towards me, tight space. Tighter the space, the slower you should be going. Another one. I think that was late. Lots of cars coming through. I'm going to click on this one as well because I've got to come back into the left. Again, keep scanning from left to right, right to left. 3 out of 5. Just show you 3 out of 5. Still hitting my average, which is good. Again, speed it up. Let's see why I got 3 out of 5. So that's where I clicked. So, and again, review it back just like I'm doing. So when you're doing this at home, for those of you that are struggling, review it back and see where you could have clicked earlier. They said I could have clicked there. For me personally, as I look here, I can't see the car coming down. I don't know if you guys can, but on me looking down on my iPad, I can't see a car coming down. So there's no reason for me to be clicking on that. Where I see the car is now. So that's 4/5. That's more 4. And that's what I'm saying with the real life clips. They're not always in sync with the scoring system. Because like I said, where it's asked me to click when it first starts with the 5, I can't see a car. So why would I be clicking on that? So hopefully that makes sense. Let me come out of that and see if you guys are saying anything. Judith, you are welcome. So hold on 1 second. Let's go back. I'm missing something here. Nana's passed through test first attempt. Congratulations. A lot of new questions. I was shocked. As I said, they're going to be front loading the test coming up now. They're going to be putting a lot of these new questions in to make sure they are working the way they should be working from their stats point of view. So like I said, if you're using the apps have been updated, so you've got not a problem with that. Starting lessons next week. Wish you luck with the driving lessons, by the way. Yeah, to be fair, Vivi, I agree with that. When money's involved, they're not gonna. So let's get this. It's too big. They're not gonna stop people from passing the theory test. I can't see the free rule unless I just can't see it happening. I've not heard anything about it. You two take care. All right, let me just do one more, but a real life clip. Sorry, CGI clip. Come out of that. It's a shame they don't give you more new ones, CGI wise. Let's try to find one that's not got a lot of stars in it. Let's do this one. Right, let's show my screen. So this is a CGI one, which is a lot clearer, and the scoring system is more real. So looking ahead, scanning left to right, something's in the road. Let's go for 3 clicks on that one, just to make sure. Remember, it's always about getting a score. That's the most important thing, get a score. Again, keep going because it could be your double. Again, I'm looking all the way up the road where the van's parked up on the right-hand side. That's how far in the videos you should be looking, and when you're driving in real life, and then work your way back left to right. Again, keep scanning, looking all the way up the road. There's a zebra crossing at the flashing amber lights, but nobody's at the crossing, or someone's walking towards it. Now, I'm going to go for another one. And I don't know if you noticed on that, the stick is red and yellow, 2 disabilities. Again, come out of that. Let's just show you no cheating, 5 out of 5 on that. Review it back. And I'll pause it. So there's my first click, and then I go for 2. I think I went for 3 just to make sure I got a score on this one. And there's my third one. They'll always give you the highest one. So there's no advantage in clicking once, but lots of advantage in clicking 2, maybe 3 times if it's needed. All right, so let's just finish up with the comments. No problem. Please look forward for my email. I responded to your email about automatic. I'll do manuals. What's the other thing? You're in Dartford, I believe it was, where that's not my area. And at this point in time, I'm snowed under. I've got a lot of driving tests coming up next month as well. I recommend driving test success. Yes. No problem. Yeah, that's the downside with it. But to be fair, all you're trying to do is work on your 2-click method, getting your 5s and 4s. Ideally, once you've mastered that, the videos, it doesn't really matter, because a hazard, it means you know what a hazard is, you know when to click and how to beat the system. It's the questions that you need to be more concerned with, because you don't know what questions are coming up. I repeat, a hazard is a hazard. It's always going to cause you to slow down or change direction. It's not going to change. A question, you don't know how it's going to be worded. I'm assuming you are referring to the free, well, someone made the comment about free attempts. I ain't going to change. Ain't going to change. Because like I said, it's unfair to stop people taking the theory test if they fail 3 times. Because some people are mentally challenged. It's just the way it is. As I said, not everyone passed first time, and the average anyway, I've done a video I think early in the year or last year, I can't even remember now, when I've done the research for the video, it's 3.5 times someone takes to pass the theory test. The government knows this because their stats, 3.5 times to take a theory test, so they're not going to stop it. Again, if that's the case, they're going to have to bring it in for the driving test, as in you can only take the driving test 3 times max. They can't do it for the theory and not for the driving. And they're not going to do that because, like I said, it's stopping people's dreams, basically, because people have got families, jobs, whatever it happens to be. It ain't going to happen. But hopefully I'm not wrong with that. But yeah, Hannah, while you're practicing, if you've got any questions, any doubts, please jot them down, bring it to the live next week, and ask away in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer it, to send you into your test nice and positive. I appreciate you guys telling that today, and I apologize for the app being used, not the desktop version. But like I said, it was either going to be using the desktop, and the first 7-8 questions was going to be all first aid, which we did last week. And I didn't want that again, so that's the reason why I had to go to my desktop app. Hopefully they update the app to not generate all first aid questions, but I'll have a word, send them an email during the week, and hopefully that could change and we go back to normal with the desktop version. Other than that, hopefully you guys have a good week. Hopefully you have a good week. Stay safe. For those who've got a test coming up, I wish you the best of luck with that. Hopefully I'll see you guys next Sunday. In the meantime, like I said, stay safe and enjoy the week, and hopefully the weather stays decent all week as well. See you guys next week. Take care.